Okay, so I saw and reviewed The Predator. You can go watch my review. I thought it was not great. I want to see what it looked like before they edited the shit out of it. I'm not going to repeat myself from a bunch of the review. You know, it's all full of stuff about trying to, like, shake up the Predator mythology, which people have gotten real bent out of shape about, and I kind of see the point to that. The thing of it is, the Predator mythology kind of always sucks, doesn't it? Like, every time they try to give the Predator mythology, it sucks. Like, and I'm someone who likes the first Alien vs. Predator movie, but, like, the stuff about raising the aliens in pyramids or whatnot to hunt is stupid, but, like, Alien vs. Predator, at least the first one, knows that it's stupid. Like, it knows it's making a smashing the action figures together movie for, like, 10-year-olds, and it just kind of go, like, that's about the level that Alien vs. Predator belongs at. If you're trying to elevate it above that, you're just gonna make shit, because they tried to make, like, a serious horror film with the Alien vs. Predator Requiem, and it sucked. People get bent out of shape when I say that about, you know, the Predator mythology always sucking, and I know they did comics and books about it and shit. I'm not talking about the comics. I mean the main movies, and I guess also the AVP movies. I know the books and comics and games have all tried to give the Predator some kind of backstory and a planet, and they call him Yaujta or some dumb bullshit. And I get it, because you're writing these for basically 10-year-olds, like I said. I understand why they want the Predator to be the main character. I understand what the thinking there is, that you want the Predator to be the lead of the Predator story, because, again, it's an R-rated franchise, but the fans are kids for the most part, because it's a monster, and when you're a kid, you want the monster to be the good guy, and that eventually means you have to think up some kind of story and reason and character for it. You know, I mean, come on, when they made, like, the Alien toys and whatnot, most people bought, you know, maybe you bought, like, Ripley and some of the Marines, but all the human characters and whatnot were fodder. You know, those are like the pharmacy, you forgot that you were going to the kid's birthday party, you had to pick something up on the way gift. You bought the different kinds of aliens and predators and whatnot. And, you know, I get that when you're doing Alien vs. Predator especially, you have to have the Predator be the lead guy, because the alien doesn't really work. I know xenomorph. I'm just going to call it the alien, please. Really. The alien doesn't really work as, like, a lead of something like this. I think there's a way you could do it. I really do think there's a way you could do it, but that's another video. The Predator, if it's Alien vs. Predator, has to be the lead guy because it's closer to a human and it's got some sort of motivation. So, okay, I get that. But every time they try to do more than just it's a hunter and it's going to hunt something, it's always stupid and it always sucks. And I don't mean to say that people have done a bad job at it. I know talented people have worked on the licensed comics and the books and such, and I know that can be a bitch of a job trying to wrench something solid out of extremely thin material, and I'm not trying to shit on that. Do what you gotta do, get paid. Sometimes it works out. Hasbro gave a bunch of comic book writers basically a weekend and a pile of otherwise unrelated Japanese robot toys and said, think of some shit, and that's how we got the Transformers mythos. That's worked out okay. So you never know. Maybe someone can come up with something useful, and where did the Predator come from? Here's my issue with it, though. Why do they keep trying to make me like the Predator? I mean, in the first movie, the Predator is the bad guy, the villain, but in every movie after that, there's either a good Predator to balance out the bad ones, or the Predator is supposed to be kind of honorable in some way, and that leads back to Predator World being some kind of warrior culture, and it's not just these guys who hunt, but the whole planet is like planet of fish-face guys who do nothing but hunt stuff, and the Predator... And here's my problem with that. The Predator, the guy in the first movie, assuming it's a guy, apologies if I'm misgendering the Predator, he has kind of a male laugh at the one point. I think the Predator's male, probably. The Predator in the first movie isn't just the villain of the movie, he's an asshole villain. I mean, think about this for a minute, all right? The Predator is like an alien hunter. He's like they've got interstellar travel. He comes to a much less advanced planet. He's in the middle of the jungle, so it's not like he's going up against a Sherman tank or something that would be a real challenge. He's got all these like super advanced weapons. He can go invisible. He's got lasers and knife boomerangs, and I think he had the knife boomerangs in the first. Yeah, he did have them in the first one, I believe. He's got his fucking plasma caster. He's got all that shit. Yeah, he's got all that shit happening, and he's using it on humans that can barely defend themselves. So he's basically like a big game hunter going after squirrels with a bazooka. Alright, this is not like the good guy. This isn't an honorable hunt. He's not like running out into the woods with a stone knife to hunt like the mighty mastodon. You know, he's going after like a chipmunk with the shit that the Predator had. Like, the Predator's weapons are so advanced that there's really no difference for him shooting at a squirrel or shooting at these guys who have, like, their machine guns. Like, he's also a fucking idiot when you think about it. Like, he's an asshole for what he's doing. Like, this is some straight up Cecil the Lion shit. You know, this is not like an honorable... This isn't like what that movie Big Game, when they send the kid out into the woods and he saves the president or something because he's supposed to be killing an elk or whatever. The Predator is here catching, like, small game like it's a big deal. He's a douchebag. He's a weekend warrior, trophy hunting douchebag with his big ass guns. Like, we're always supposed to take the Predator as this badass hunter. Like, they always put the Predator like he's a bounty hunter instead of an animal hunter, right? Like, he's not Boba Fett. He's Elmer Fudd. He's Elmer Fett. That's the Predator. And not only that, he's a fucking idiot. Like, he's an asshole and he's stupid. Like, he's got all of this stuff and he still gets talked into like a one-on-one fist fight with what to him is basically just a monkey. Called out his manhood. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dutch, gets up and basically says, hey, mine's bigger than yours, and gets the Predator into a fist fight, and the Predator loses. The two Trump kids are like big game hunters. Like, see, there's another, like, there's no, like, good guy big game hunter in, like, modern popular culture. Like, they're all bad guys, right? So the Predator, like, at best, is like Eric Trump. You know, that's who you're rooting for in these movies when they try to get you to root for the Predator. Like, if you saw on the news that, like, one of the Trump kids got gored by a bull because the bull looked at him funny and he decided to fight him hand to hand, that's what happens to the first Predator in that movie. He's probably a fucking joke on his home planet. But, okay, so, like, broader sense, aside from the fact that the Predator doesn't make sense as a good guy because big game hunters suck, the monster always becomes the hero in a monster franchise because you have to have a recurring element. The monster tends to be what you can bring back because the costume eventually becomes less expensive than the movie stars. The only like, Godzilla eventually becomes the good guy. Frankenstein is eventually the good guy. Like, Jason Voorhees eventually the good guy. The only exceptions to this is, like, you know, Freddy Krueger never became a good guy because he's like a child rapist, and that's a bridge too far. And, like, Michael Myers, I don't think ever really became a good guy in any of the Halloween movies because Michael just doesn't have a personality. And, you know, I really don't think we would have had this problem with the Predator if it had been, like, just a jungle monster and not a sci-fi thing. Like, if the soldiers in the first Predator had just run into like a jungle monster or some kind of mythological thing, I really think we would have just had like 12 movies where different people ran into that monster, and it would have just been like Anaconda, and it probably would have been a better series than this is at this point. But because it's got sci-fi, people always want it to go off and become Star Wars or Star Trek or something and have mythos, when in reality this should have just been like a slasher thing, which it basically is, right? The Predator's basically a slasher series. It's just, you know, instead of a bunch of dumb teenagers, it's really buff guys, so instead of Jason, it has to be, like, the world's greatest hunter-killer or whatever. To be honest, I don't know if there's anything that you can actually still do with the Predator otherwise, because, again, I don't care where he came from. I don't really think anyone actually does. I know, like, nerds care where the Predator came from, because speaking as a nerd, we care where everything came from. We need to know where Han Solo's fucking gun came, like, where did he get his gun from? But, like, in reality, like, you know, regular people, nobody cares. Like, that's why that movie Solo didn't make money, because it's a whole movie full of stuff that only dorks care about. Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares why Han Solo is called Solo. Nobody cares. All that, like, the parsec. Ooh, parsecs are a measurement of distance, not time. What is that? I can guarantee you that most of the people in the world who now know, before seeing the movie Solo, that the parsec distance thing was a thing, know it not because they actually cared after watching Star Wars so many times. They know it because eventually Family Guy said it out loud as a joke, and that's where they heard it. Because otherwise, that's a nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the minutia detail. I'm sorry. Nobody cares. And just like that, nobody cares where the Predator came from. There's no version of an expanded mythology that's not going to make the idea of the Predator less interesting, because a huge part of what works in the only one of these movies that was 100% good, the first one, is that he's a 2-word character description, alien hunter, that's always full of crazy surprises with his weapons. So short of you just having him kill people in new places, or I guess maybe they still haven't done humans ask the Predator to kill something for them, so I guess they could still do that. Otherwise, the only thing I can imagine you do with this series, because again, the sprawling warrior culture space opera played dead serious straight from the comics and books and whatever, it's dumb and it will make a dumb movie, would be to just make an actual joke out of it. I don't mean like the first movie, but with more one-liners like Shane Black just did in The Predator. Nice try, didn't totally work. Like, just go full 21 Jump Street or Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein or whatever, and just use what's left of the property and be funny. Especially because, again, everything we know about the Predator as an individual alien guy in the first movie indicates he's just an asshole, right? So I always kind of thought it'd be fun if we found out that the rest of his planet, species, culture, whatever, isn't like him at all. Like, okay, they've got advanced technology, space travel, they're pretty compatibly humanoid. It's not unreasonable to assume they've have the whole Star Trek parallel evolution to humans thing happening, right? Isn't it more likely that Predator Homeworld is more or less like Earth, just with whatever predators are actually called, and, you know, a little more advanced, I guess, because they've got better space travel. And instead of being really important warriors or some highly regarded part of their culture, these guys we keep encountering in the Predator movies hunting humans on Earth, these are just macho assholes who do this shit on weekends at, like, big game sport hunters here. I mean, again, the Predator is a douchebag. He's hunting ridiculously outmatched prey for trophies with vastly superior firepower. He's the alien version of the guy that shot Cecil the Lion. Remember that shit? Well, the dude who did that wasn't Craven the Hunter or Teddy Roosevelt or some Most Dangerous Game shit. He was a fucking dentist from the suburbs. Go look at the photos of these big game hunter guys now. None of them are Teddy Roosevelt looking dudes. None of them are even like Saberman or whatever. They're all like pasty polo shirt motherfuckers. Alright? Like, Ted Nugent is a shithead, but at least he does that bow and arrow stuff, I think. Like, the two Trump boys are big game hunters, I just said, right? And those two guys look like they need to think a minute if you ask them which animal a chicken wing comes from. So for a long time now, my headcanon has been like, yeah, Predator Homeworld is probably just a little bit more advanced Earth with Predator people, and these guys who seem like total badasses hunting humans on Earth, they're just the Predator World version of upper middle class suburban douchebags who get all kitted up in designer camo from like whatever the Predator version of Cabela's or Dick's Sporting Goods is. They go shoot shit on the weekends, but the rest of the time they've got like middle management office jobs, or they sell cars or insurance or so. Like, you know these guys, right? And like, outside of them and their buddies, nobody gives a shit about the trophies and the hunting, you know? Like, there is no Predator hunter culture outside their immediate circle of friends and forums they chat on for like Predator Field and Stream magazine, whatever. The whole rest of the week, month, year, however they measure it, they're just muddling through life, paying their bills. The Predator's wife probably fucking hates him. She bangs the Predator pool guy or like her Predator yoga instructor, Predator masseuse, whatever, on the weekends while he's off trying to kill Danny Glover or whoever. His kids don't respect him. He tries to get his son to go hunting and he wants to be literally anywhere else. His daughter's like a vegetarian or something. Like, she goes out and marches about xenomorph preservation and tells everyone her dad's an asshole. He goes back into work on the Monday after and he tries to make small talk about it, like, yeah, I took 4 spines over the weekend and they had guns, so yeah, pretty intense. But nobody cares because their species mastered interstellar space travel like centuries ago, and nobody thinks this is a big deal, except other boring assholes who peaked in Predator High School. Like, the cute younger Predator intern chicks in the steno pool make fun of him in the break room because of all the badass shit with the mask and fishnets is like the Predator version of middle-aged white guys who get tribal tattoos. Look, like, I know it sounds like I'm shitting on like this dumb played out part of the franchise, and I am, but there's a logic here, all right? Like, if you let us spend a really good amount of time understanding that in the context of their world, the Predators, as we encounter them on Earth, are just dumb fucking asshole losers who suck, if you do that enough, maybe the audience starts to feel kind of bad for one of them, and when you eventually follow his miserable, pathetic ass back to Earth or wherever, we can almost kind of get behind him and wanting him to succeed, because, like, he's still basically trying to hunt squirrels with a bazooka, so he still sucks, but just like in real life, anyone who does that probably is profoundly miserable in their own head, so if you can get the audience in there with them, maybe you can get the Predator from Elmer Fudd to Wile E. Coyote, right? You know, where you don't hate the Roadrunner, but Wile E. Coyote is such a loser and he tries so hard, you kind of want him to get the win once in a while. I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, I'm Occam's razor about these kind of things. Like, you want to make a good Predator movie, find, like, new, different kinds of people, put them in a different sort of place, and have the Predator hunt them there. Like, we've never seen the Predator hunt someone in the snow before. Have them do that. Have the Predator in Japan, Predator in China, Predator in... Predator in China sounds awesome. Have him, like, fight that dude from the Wolf Warrior movies. You know, maybe do, like, a whole Predator movie on a whole other planet where he's hunting, like, other aliens. You know, maybe do a Predator movie where we follow the Predator when he's a good guy and drop him down on a place and all of his weapons malfunction and he's like hunting other guys who are trying to kill him, and since they're not humans, we aren't necessarily automatically with them, and he's you could do like Predator Robinson Crusoe, you know, like some shit like that, right? Predator Family Robinsons. I mean, yeah, I don't know. But like, stop trying to make me like the Predator. The Predator worked best when he was a villain to begin with. And if you're gonna tell me that he's an alien big game hunter, there's no way to make that dude not a bad guy because that guy automatically sucks. So, I'll be honest, I ran out of the scripted portion of this somewhere around Wile E. Coyote, so I'm just kind of winging it at this point. Now I guess I probably have to do one of these for the Alien, but yeah, so that was Predator. I kind of liked some stuff in The Predator, but you know, you can go watch my review for that. Anyway, yeah, I'm out. Thanks for listening.